Tops knife review coming up. Stand by. I was cleaning out my garage a couple weeks ago. I'm going through some of the bins that I have knives in and such, and I came across the blade that we're going to be showcasing today. It is the TOPS DragonFly 4.5, and the reason that I'm laughing a little bit is because I've had this knife probably about 5 or 6 years. This is a gift from my good friend Andy Tran, and I had always wanted to do a review on this blade, but I set it down somewhere, I lost track of it, and then just in the crazy thing called life, time got away from me. But I found it, we blew the dust off it, it's here tonight, and what we're going to do is test it out for you. So first thing, we're going to do a quick specs rundown, then I'm going to take it over to the stump top, we'll do some testing with it, and then as always we'll bring it 360 right back here and we'll talk about it. Folks, it doesn't get any better than this. Tops knives being tested, you're here with me, the video starts now. Woo! Man, I love testing out knives, and I really like this blade. This is a Caleb Musgrave design. He is a wilderness skills instructor up in Ontario, Canada. He's in that boreal forest. I grew up in northern Maine. We had some of that boreal forest where I lived, so I understand the environment that he lives in, and I understand his thought process in this design. Just a great looking design. You have what Tops calls a hunter's point. It's a drop point design. It's made out of 1095 high carbon steel. It has a bead blast finish on there. Just beautiful. And it looks like it's a little bit over 1/8 of an inch thick. Overall length, 9 3/4 inches. You have a blade length of 4.5 inches, hence the DragonFly 4.5. And the handle is 5 1/4 inches. Now, the handle's made out of canvas micarta. And then the version I have came with a ballistic nylon sheath. And I believe the new ones, and this is how old I am and how old my knife is, the new ones come with just a awesome leather dangler sheath, and I believe you can get it in a couple different colors. The weight of the blade comes in at 7.2 ounces. Now let's talk about testing. First off, I like doing stuff where I'm cutting things, like I'm cutting leather, I'm cutting the nylon toe strap and such, because I feel that it's important for you guys to see how the edge is going to perform right out of the box. Now, a quick disclaimer. I do not sharpen, I do not strop, I do not prep these blades. How you see this blade on the stump being tested is how it is coming right out of the box. So you guys can have an informed decision on how things are going to perform. Now, we also did a feather stick with this. I'd love to do a tri-stick, but I'm chasing daylight right now and time didn't permit. And then I cut some really thick, hard hose, and it had no problem doing that. And I did that as well, one, just to see how well the edge geometry would cut through there, and then how old that, not how old, but how well that cutting edge would perform in other tasks, and it did a great job. The handles on this blade, now, you guys know I'm a knife designer as well, and I feel, my humble opinion, that the handle is the most important part of any sort of knife design. If the handle doesn't fit right, or it's just not ergonomically pleasing to an individual, you're just not going to use that blade. Well, I've been playing around with this knife for a while now, and I must say I really love these handles. I like the scallops, so you can hold this knife in a bunch of different configurations. It's a little bit chamfered out, so my index finger and my pinky finger, I have medium-sized hands, just fit really well on this handle. And when I did the stab test with it, stabbing it into that birch, my hand didn't slide at all. My hand stayed in point as I was just doing that thrusting motion. Now, I do that test, and I don't advise that for just a regular consumer unless you're in some sort of emergency survival situation. I do it, one, to test the heat treat on the blade and how well that steel is going to hold up. And as a tester, I think that's important for you folks to see. And I'm using hardwood, I'm using birch, and it excelled really well. Also, I like Tops. They do a nice saber grind on there, and the edge is just sharp as hell coming right out of the box. And the folks up there at Tops just do a great job in the quality control. But their biggest thing that I always talk about when I do a Tops knife review is their heat treat. Their heat treat is probably some of the best in the business, hands down. Now, you're going to have instance, I mean, if you just overtly abuse a blade, you're going to break it. But I'll tell you what, I've pounded a lot of Tops knives into trees. I've stood on them, which I don't advise, by the way. My wife goes crazy every time she sees me doing that because you could risk getting hurt. But I do that just to show you folks how well the heat treat is. What they do is called a differential heat treat, where the cutting edge is harder than the spine. That way you get a little bit more flex in that blade when you're using it. If a blade is too hard and you're in a harsh environment, you're either going to bend or you're going to snap that blade off. And if you're like Caleb and you're living up in Ontario, let me tell you, if it's anything like northern Maine, you're getting some just crazy cold weather up there, and just a variety of different weather situations that you're going to have to deal with. Well, Tops and their heat treat is just going to push on through with that. Now, being 1095 hard carbon steel, let's keep it real. You're going to have to do knife maintenance. You can't just let this sit in a sheath and not wipe it down, not oil it down, because it is going to corrode on you. It just is. That's just part of 1095 high carbon steel. But the beautiful thing about 1095 high carbon steel is that it's easy to sharpen and it holds an edge extremely well. And if you like all that and it checks off every box for you, then the DragonFly, or what Tops now calls the DFly 4.5, might be something for you to consider. If you want to learn more about this blade, I'll leave a link in the video description below. And as always, folks, I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Now, folks, get out and use your gear.